Hello, my name is Marcus. I'm the compiler of a collection of therapy quotes entitled 1001 Windmills of the Mind, a collection of advanced self-help quotes taken from what's often called the psychodynamic or the psychoanalytic perspective, which long ago, as I understand, is referred to by some, or perhaps many, as philosophical medicine or narrative medicine. All part of the ongoing innate drive for healing. In nature, there is, when something's wounded in nature, there's something invisibly taking place that's trying to heal whatever it is that's wounded in nature. So if people are wounded, we're trying to heal. Now, but nature wants us to cooperate with it by making inferences, looking for patterns, owning of projections, recognizing that what you're repeating is a communication of the interaction of the past that was painful. So if we can make piece together the story, that's part of the healing, to make the unconscious conscious. So this idea has been around a long time. Know thyself, saved by understanding, saved by understanding. And so we have already posted over 10,000 quotes from this orientation, where there's memories that influence us, but we're not conscious of them. These unconscious memories are also known as denied memories, repressed memories, disassociated memories. It was too painful to know it, and the baby doesn't even have capacity to know it. So, but it's recorded in the body. Implicit memories, procedural memories, and somewhere in the system, somehow there's some kind of stencil, psychic template, psychic blueprint, internal working model, and our energy's in there. And if this model that's created around our memories, human connections, to neural connections, interpersonal, these intrapsychic or endopsychic, there's a model in there. And if our energy is bound up in some kind of unprocessed pain with the mother, we're afraid to allow our life force to be for the present because we're dealing with the past fear with the mother. So that's the theory, that the fear is that the baby's needs weren't met. The baby has developmental needs for safety, rhythm of safety, mother's mirroring, mother's acceptance, sweetness, kindness, warmth, a level of safety that allows the child to maintain his sense of feeling real and alive in the body, called embodiment, ensoulment, beingness, ontological self, feeling self, sense of self. It's meant to be a part of the person. It's meant to maintain, we're meant to maintain that, what we're given. So we live in love there. A wide range of feelings, needed feelings, appropriate feelings, morality, ethics, virtue, natural state of affairs to have our feelings, heart-based living, soulfully based living. We're meant to live from this sense of embodiment. Thurston Wilson says, yeah, if you lose that sense of embodiment and you're not embodied, so to speak, well, it's disembodied discourse that causes all these problems. If you're not in your body, you're not making sense. Woodman's line is the embodiment is also known as the feminine. So if the feminine principle or element called soul, being, and all that, like the moon, the yin, if that's somehow damaged or wounded, what you're doing is distorted. The wounded feminine leads to distorted masculine. So our doing is meant to come from the being. The masculine, feminine means doing and being. So made in king. So the being is sometimes symbolized. The being is sometimes symbolized like a princess. And then made in king. So you're doing the king, the masculine, comes from the being. If you have your being, then your doing is heart informed, feelingly informed. It's reality like that. And you're in the present. We're all people. We're all one family. It's reality like that. But if the baby's too traumatized, okay, he's going to, quote-unquote, metaphorically exile that quality of him symbolized by the princess. So the princess morphs into a bird and flies away, morphs into a fox and runs away. Or she's locked in a tower like Rapunzel, in a coma like Snow White. Earth opens up in this core, meaning the heart of the person, the soul of the person, this core, the core of the person, authentic core of the person. Earth opens up, metaphor, she gets pulled down into the underworld, unconscious. And I got this geological metaphor, the chasm in the earth, the gap in the earth. And so one person describes this imagery that there's a gap in the earth, meaning there was a gap between what the baby needed and what he got. That huge gap caused the soul, okay, symbolized by the princess, to get repressed, pulled away. So now they got the chasm there, and the soul can't be there. So you don't feel real alive anymore. So that's a huge loss. Okay, your identity comes from there. Your authentic identity is that. That princess, that ensoulment, that's your identity. Your soul is your identity. And that soul gets pulled down. Where's your identity? You know, and then related to your identity is the golden ball. Their needed feelings, appropriate feelings, a wide range of feelings, aliveness of affect, the warm hum, however you want to call it. So our identity and our feelings get pulled down. That's a huge trauma. It's called developmental trauma. Okay, due to relational trauma, interpersonal trauma, attachment trauma, weaning trauma, strain trauma, so on down the line. So if the mother's not meeting the baby's needs, he thinks he's in danger, fear, the baby cries, stress, tension, fear, mother doesn't get it, it's a tune, old cunning tale on her end. Okay, that's a separate topic around why a mother doesn't get the baby signals. So the final pathway, the final pathway for the baby is to click over to the anger. So the stress response is the anger. Anger is the SOS, that is needs for love, that he needs love. SOS means he wants love. Anger is the greatest effort the baby can communicate his desire for love, connection, security, so he can develop, have his identity, have his feelings. Baby wants to develop. Mother, it's as if the baby's saying, Mother, I want to feel safe with you, so I gotta have my feelings, my identity, and then I can have myself. I don't want this pain of losing my soul like this. So when it's a little bit like that, baby's stressed, confused, stressed, distressed. Then it gets to fear. Baby's starting to feel shame. Babies can show shame in their face, tone, body with the mother. So the baby's giving these signals with the body, tone, and facial expression, and he's giving these signals of shame, fear, distress, like that. And mother still doesn't get it. What's wrong with the baby here? Baby's freaking out here. Final pathway, the final last-ditch effort, the greatest, most desperate chance he has to get mother's attention is the anger. Now he's in anger mode. Anger is the final pathway, but anger is a cry for love. It's still a cry for love. It's the cry for love, block, tension, fear, shame, tension, and the anger. So the anger is still the cry for love. Anger is the cry for attachment, connection, so he can live in love and have his soul and feel his golden ball. So anger means he wants development. Anger means he wants love and safety with him so he can have development. He wants his feelings, he wants his golden ball, and so on down the line. So this issue of anger, it's not like a separate system in the child. It's the cry for love, the cry for attachment, the cry for connection, blocked, tension, and the manifestation of the tension is expressed in anger as the final pathway. It's still the cry for love, still the same love line. Now the sad thing for the poor child is that the mother still doesn't get it. You can't be angry at me. Who do you think you are, baby? Whoa. That's a real betrayal by the mother. A real sad state of affairs. If the mother still, can't figure out that she's doing something wrong here, she's missing it. Like the baby's crying and angry, saying, Mother, you're not connected with me. I don't feel safe with you. Where are you? You're not meeting my signals. You don't see me. You don't recognize me. You don't seem to accept me. You're not there for me. You're not present for me. You're not considering how I'm feeling. You're not soothing me if I'm distressed. I can't regulate myself if I'm scared. You scare me and I gotta turn to you to soothe me and you ignore me. I'm more distressed. I'm angry now. You still don't get it? Final. Then a very sad state of affairs. The baby's considered not to have been soothed and held and mirrored and quote-unquote contained by the mother. So the baby's very desperate here. Baby's very desperate here. He wouldn't make it if there's no sense of mother holding him and accepting him. So a very ingenious, sad trick of the mind takes place. The baby's anger rebounds in on himself. Now in the baby's mentation, things are imaginal, pre-linguistic, pre-verbal, imaginal. So you take the baby's anger, when it rebounds back in on himself, at that point it's destructive. So the LIVE, to live, reverse the letters, turning around, EDIL. So his own life force, it's the same life force for love, anger turned around becomes destructive. Now he's hurting himself. Now the baby's got to turn to his own anger. By the way, in the imaginal world, that anger poofs into a monster. So monsters of the id monsters. Now he's got a monster in the mind. That's mostly his anger. So baby, as a shortcut, the baby's rage poofs into a monster in the mind. Monsters of the id monsters. And I've talked a lot about the science fiction film Forbidden Planet about this topic, Monsters of the Id. So check out previous videos on that topic. Okay, so now the baby is going to somehow regard his anger as some kind of thing that's his attempt to relate to be related to somehow. He's going to turn to his own anger as if that's something that he can relate to, because mother's not relating to him. And the anger is related to the mother indirectly. So his anger at the mother, hitting himself, that's linked to the mother. So to have a mother, he's got to accept his own anger attacking himself, that's his mother. So that's the sad state of affairs. So that's the idea that the baby's containing himself. He's trying to hold himself, mother himself somehow. So, and now what? The baby associates his rage at his mother, rebounding in on himself, hurting himself, there's pain, but that pain now is mother. How does he cope with this? Well, trick of the mind, baby finds a way to sugarcoat his own rage, hurting himself, his own anger, attacking himself. See, the anger is supposed to go to the mother. It's got to go somewhere so it turns in. So the anger he's giving to himself is meant for the mother, but the mother blocks it so it turns in. Like the metaphor of the river hitting the bank and rebounds in on himself like that. So enter Edmund Berger's theory. A little mystery here, but somehow the baby manages to trick of the mind called he's going to make that pain he's feeling as a survival, coping, adaptation strategy to survive. Okay, he can't know that the mother's doing all this, so he doesn't know that the mother is hurting him. He's feeling defective and pain and shame, anger, attacking himself, defective and no good. So this kind of pain is feeling guilt, pain, shame, all that stuff. Somehow the trick is that the child, nobody knows exactly the chemistry or the wiring or how it works in the brain, but the baby's going to become a psychic masochist. Okay? He's going to enjoy this. He's going to make it pleasurable. A huge trick of the mind. It's a major crime in the psyche. It's a major, quote-unquote, major crime in the psyche. So the child can't live like this. He can't be passive, enjoying the pain at his mother, attacking himself, and he enjoys it. What a sick scenario. So, so he's got to bury it and confess to the lesser crime called pseudo-aggression, a kind of a rescue station whereby he's going to be active in some way in his life, usually through an oral fixation, usually through repetition compulsion, symbolic acting out, then addictive activities. Yeah, see, addictions, yeah, today's topic a little bit, addictions and repetition compulsion, these are all ways to push down the major crime, because it's a layer on top of it. So Berger calls psychomasochism the basic neurosis, the title of his book, The Basic Neurosis. And then you have a defense against that defense. So the first defense is psychic masochism. And then you can't feel that, so you bury it. The way to bury it is to layer it over with a coating. And the coating buries it, but you focus on the coating. The coating is the pseudo-aggression. Now the pseudo-aggression means he's got to be active in some way, so he'll be dysfunctional. Now this dysfunction can branch off into quote-unquote sublimation or failed sublimation. If it's sublimated, okay, he finds a way, like George Carlin, a very angry guy, makes clever speeches, he gets his anger out, ranting and raving. I played a clip from George Carlin yesterday. I forgot to mention that point about that. So whatever anger he feels in his life, he can channel it into the topic about the system and all that kind of thing. You know, the thing about the bird and the wing and all that stuff. So he speaks in a kind of angry mode, but he's channeling it into an interesting, entertaining, informative topic that people like. So he's considered successful, makes a lot of money with them. Now, George Carlin theoretically didn't have that knack, gift of the gab, whatever. Then maybe he, wouldn't be successful. He'd have more problems in his life. So it'd be more overt. It'd be more clear to him that he's not living a happy life. But still underneath the same scenario set up, the same fixation at the rejection point of psychomasochism is still there. Either you cloak it successfully or unsuccessfully. You cloak it successfully, it's called sublimation. You cloak it unsuccessfully, okay, it's neurotic, it's clearly neurotic, dysfunctional, making, like Gabe, like the guy Gabe in Gabe's story in the Twilight Zone. Nothing went right for him, miserable, all these problems. or someone who smokes and drinks and causes drama in his life, and nothing works out for him, nothing, not happy at work, not happy in love. So things are more clear like that versus somebody who can sublimate. But either successful or unsuccessful, it's defense against the major crime. Now that major crime is based on the baby believing that he's got to protect his mother. He's got to think the mother's good, so he's got to protect that status for him, that mother's good. Baby can't know mother's hurting him. So he's got to maintain this tie, this lie. He's got to lie to himself, called the moral defense, the mother's good. So to think mother's good, he's got to accept the pain, make it pleasurable, and distract him with pseudo-aggression, dysfunctional living, repetition, compulsion, successful or not. So that's one theory about the inner workings like that. Now, by the way, this is all on top of a prior thing that takes place. The prior thing that takes place when mother hurts him is the baby sends away his soul. So that's the idea of the princess flying away. Now, the chasm image or the cord getting pulled down, psychic pain, the brain sends you endorphins, the numbing chemical called endorphins. So the child says to himself, hey, my own soul here. I can't feel and trust and love here. I can't develop here. Mother's too dangerous. I'm scared. I gotta devote myself to survival mode. I can't feel. I gotta put my energy on the survival part of the brain, the amygdala, the stress response. So soul, I'm sorry. Sorry to me, sorry to you. Soul, please fly away. Hide somewhere. Go. Morph into a bird. Fly away. Take off. Run. Go. Mother's dangerous. I can't protect you. I can't protect my own soul. Soul, please go away. I'll look for you later. At midlife, I'll try to find you. I'll go on the hero's journey, the second journey. I'll get you back somehow. But please hide in the meantime. So the baby sends away his soul. To protect the soul, he's got to send it. Soul goes into exile, in a sense, right? Go, I know not whither, and bring back, I know now. He's not even going to know where it's going to go. He can't know, because mother would know, and he's got to go further away like that. So just go, hide, take off. Now he's in pain like that. Okay, so the mercy is the brain sends him the swoon. Emily Dickinson, there's a pain so utter, swallow substance, and the person goes into swoon. That's Emily Dickinson's famous swoon line. Okay, so I think, as I understand it, the brain sends you endorphins. It's a mercy-numbing chemical. It's an internal mechanism in the brain that numbs you the pain. So he's going to be numb. He's going to be kind of numb now. He's going to be in a stupor, numb, going through the motions of life, sleepwalking through life. So he's not really, he's kind of a little bit drunk all his life or something. I don't know. However you want to describe it. People call it the provisional living, living the unlived life. Something's missing like that. You're missing, you're not enjoying life. Because you're in pain constantly and you're numb all the time. Jonoff says if your internal brain pharmacy wears out, then you run to the drugstore or something to keep scooping in or something. Now you're dependent on this ability to push down the pain because it keeps coming up. So if your brain runs out, then you go to the store, he says. Okay, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a doctor, so I don't really go down now. That's sort of a shortcoming. I'll admit a huge deficiency, a strength of this collection is we've got excellent quotes from authors like Masterson, Karen Horney, Edmund Burglar, Klein, Mahler, Fairbairn, Rothstein, Ogden, Janoff, Rinsley, Guntrip, Bromberg, and so on down the line. I got a lot of great quotes from the analytic theories, developmental theory, object relations theory, projection, repetition, compulsion, Faustian theory, psychological interpretation, myths and fairy tales, psychologically minded film and TV show quotes. Personality patterns are covered very well. Passive-aggressive one, narcissistic one, BPD one, bully one even, and so on down the line. So codependency, and we cover a lot of theories about personality and how we cope and all that, defense mechanisms. The shortcoming I would say is I never studied biology or anything like that. So I'm kind of I've got a long way to go to catch up in the field of what's going on in the body. So I posted a few quotes by Mr. Lowen. The one below in this batch is, I think, part 3 or 4 from Mr. Lowen. So there's a little bit there. And yesterday we posted one by somebody who quoted Helen Fisher, the anthropologist, talking about how romantic love is not an emotion. Romantic love is a dopamine thing. All about dopamine, motivation, anticipation, chase. Okay, and then, so we'll talk a bit about that. I want to follow up on that point in this video here as well. So yesterday we had a quote about the Helen Fisher survey. Janoff, we have a few quotes from Janoff, a little bit about it, about the set points in the brain, oxytocin. With trauma, the oxytocin Yeah, so Janoff's take on repetition compulsion. The repetition compulsion and trauma are synonymous, as Paul B. Russell. A key batch of quotes in our collections on repetition compulsion headed up by Paul B. Russell. I highly recommend all the quotes in our collection from him. No books, just a bunch of articles, but I plucked out the best ones, I think. So repetition compulsion means the development didn't take place, so identity and feelings are missing. The development didn't take place because there wasn't a secure attachment style. The baby, first of all, needs a blissful euphoria with the mother, blissful oneness, oceanic feeling, unio mystica, participation mystique, the mother infantilia, a psychological egg, feeling of blissful oneness. One guy called it euphoric, delirious euphoria even. That's missing. Yeah, so let's just pause for a minute there. So in the developmental process, the baby needs a period of Garden of Eden, Shambhala, Shangri-La, like a blissful kind of thing for the first 4 to 5 months. And then 4 to 5 months to 18 months, he kind of practices with his new motor skills, but he's still at a narcissistic place where he thinks he's a king and a god, all about him. Finally, at 18 months, the transition takes place where he now enters into the rapprochement phase, where he learns about what he likes and wants mother's improv and communicative matching, and it's the message that it's okay for him to explore his curiosity, his interest, his wonderment. Mother doesn't punish him. Mother's okay for his autonomy, meaning the mother's not using the child to comfort her. The child's okay with the mother's okay with the child's autonomy. The mother has Freud and Freudom, pleasure in the child's happiness. Some mothers don't. Some mothers are very envious, like the wicked queen. They want to use the child to take care of them, because some others use the child to parent them. Some others say, baby, I made you to find me. My mother never loved me. I made you to mother me. That's not going to happen if that takes place. Oh, cunning tale. Okay, so this video is going to be a little bit, as just mentioned, I'm way behind. I got a long way to go to catch up with people on the biology of trauma and what's going on in the body and the chemistry. I'm way out of it like that. So the oxytocin a little bit, so serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine, we have a few quotes on it. And in this video, I want to add a little bit about it. So we'll get there. So stay tuned. Hang in there. We got quotes from Miss Lembe, the famous, how do you pronounce her name? Lemke. Lemke, is that it? Lemke, the woman who wrote Dopamine Nation. And one from somebody, it's unknown, but he did a summary of Helen Fisher's theory. So we have 2 authors. We'll discuss 2 authors here, and both about the biology kind of thing. And the low one quotes below, it sort of adds to it as well. Okay, so let's go back to Berger for a minute. Ironically, Berger's theory is easier than Berger's theory is a little consistent like that. So, okay, so after the child exiles the soul, puts himself into a swoon, okay, he wires in. Meanwhile, during that time, he wires in the trauma, the template, the schema, the model, the memory that took place. His life force is in there, right? That's going to lead to repetition compulsion. Now, in the repetition compulsion, he's going to recreate new editions, contemporary new editions of that script. So he takes the script to the present, follows the script, and recreates it with others standing in for the past characters, himself and the mother basically, and just recreates it. So on that point, yesterday we talked a bit about it, and Paul B. Russell's quote. So let's not do repetition compulsion too much this time, but it's a key point. Repetition compulsion, it means you're living in the past. Okay, so you're in the past because you're stuck there, you're in pain there, unprocessed. You're afraid to live in the present. You want to resolve this thing with the mother. You want to get out of this curse, destiny, script, fate, whatever you want to call it, some jinx, whatever you want to call it. Some kind of freezing took place where you're like stunned or something, and your body's stunted correspondence. So everything's like stunned like that, called stunted development, stunted development, stunted development, arrested development. Yes, the rest of us develops bodily, cognitively, in the sense that we can drive a car and pay the bills, get 10 PhDs, you can get 10 bodybuilding awards. You can still develop in your body and in your kind of like academic like that. But in terms of feeling, the feeling self, okay, love and connection and warmth and feeling pleasant inside naturally, calm inside, ability to soothe yourself. accept yourself, love yourself, those kind of feeling stuff. We live to the extent that we feel. The golden ball, the blue jay of happiness, that area, the feeling self area, that's all frozen. While the rest develops, the main part is frozen. Okay, now, so that means our living, we function in life, but there's a kind of a covert, hidden agenda to replay again and again, hoping for a better past, to undo the past, to resume development, get the love that it should receive, continue to develop, have our identity, have our golden ball. Doesn't work, so our mind is obsessive about it, we're confused about it, we're scrambling about it, so we're repeating, we don't even know. And sometimes when you repeat, you don't play yourself, you play the mother. Others play you, and do to others what your mother did to you. And since you are angry at the mother, the one you just shamed who played you, poof, there's your mother, you play yourself, and you're angry at the mother, you take on to the one you just shamed. So it's we're scrambling like this. What are we doing here? Well, you make the inference. You're treating others the way your mother treated you, to know how your mother treated you. You know, and then now you know how you felt by this, by your negative attitude toward others. Your negative behavior, negative attitude, right? So mother had a negative behavior towards you and a negative attitude in response, called anger, like that. So you got to make the inference that in the present we're replaying to know the story, history. We're trying to find our history. So part of the innate drive for healing is to observe and make the inference, be the detective. What am I doing here? Okay, this is some kind of my system, my unconscious self is kind of like a puppet master, pulling the strings, making me behave in ways and choose things in ways to fit the script. But I don't know the script. Well, the puppet master is saying, come on, figure it out, man. There's a script here. I'm making you follow a script again and again and again. Can't you see there's a script? What script? Well, again and again, figure it out, man. There's a script here. Well, so finally you go, oh my God, there's a script here. One guy calls it CCRT, core conflictual relationship theme. I don't use that one too much, actually, but there's some kind of theme, like some kind of set internal working model like that. Hold on a sec. Where are we here? Hold on a sec. So let's maybe okay, let me just leave it there for the time being, I guess. So soul flies away, psychic pain, numb. Okay, now what? Script is there, energy's there. Repetition, compulsion, to get a better past, get the love that we should have received, because that part of the brain has no time, timelessness, no time. Present is replaying that script because that brain doesn't know time, so all time is that time. The present is still the past. Okay? So the present is just being used to recreate the past in the present, or transfer the past to the present. Follow the script, that's called transference of the script to the present, and then act it out like actors. So we're like actors in this play that we keep making. So we got to observe us in this play by the puppet master, our unconscious self, and get the story, and then you realize stuff. Oh my God, reality check here. Reality check here. My mother failed me, betrayed me. Holy, you know what? Now you want to start to feel what you couldn't have felt. Now you want to make room, you want to allow, make space, and allow your feelings to come in, and let some kind of movement in your body take place called an emotion. Energy in motion. E-motion, emotion. You put a dash, famously, the famous image, right? E-motion, emotion. What's emotion? Well, energy in motion. Well, in your body, energy's in motion. The waves, with the bodily waves in your body, like there's some kind of waving going on in your body, some kind of movement in your body. You wanna crunch, like things grundling around, grundling around, new word. Something's got to move inside, energy and motion. You don't want to have everything so numb like that. Another image of trauma is the pin goes on the collar. So when this cord gets pulled down, the soul gets pulled down, the heart gets pulled away, Tin Man, no heart, okay, that pin goes on the collar, out of the collar the emotional body goes flat. So that's called athemolexia. No feelings for your words, as well as alexithymia, no words for your feelings. So things are flat there, we're not feeling. That's the problem. We live to the extent that we feel. We're meant to feel. We're feeling beings, we're feeling people, we're feeling creatures, we're feeling ones. We're all meant to feel. Like life is feeling, we feel. Like joy is there, the blue jay's there, pleasant joy is there. I want to feel joy, I want to feel happy, I want to feel calm and connected. Like that, you need that joy to joy kind of a phenomena, right? And then you need sadness to run the console to emit a loss, you know. And now special situations, you can temporarily put joy, sadness, interest, curiosity, okay, delight, affection. You can suspend it for a brief time if there is a need for the stress response for a brief thing, but that's not supposed to be too active early, right? We're mainly it's meant to come from a feeling sub. Okay, this is the you can call it the feeling mind or something like that. So the brain has three parts: cortex, feeling, and survival, limbic. So survival sensations, just mainly fear and anger, stress response, okay, and then the feeling self, that's the golden ball. Okay, so it's kind of like famous iguana versus the iguana brain, or the giraffe embodied mammal feeling system, or puppy, crocodile, whatever you want. So you can nickname those part of the brains after them. But that survival brain only has a stress response. So in the Disney film, when joy and sadness representing the feeling set get zooped away, like Miss Cord getting pulled down, and there's a chasm there, so unavailable, repressed, then fear, anger run the console. Fear, anger run the console, right? So fear is usually there, he's overwhelmed, goes to the anger. And when anger's flames pop up, you got to take the flames and spell SOS. I think Pete Docter, in his next Inside Out film, when anger shows the anger and the flames are popping up, take those flames and spell SOS to make it clear that anger is an SOS for love, is an SOS of the fear. Mother didn't respect the baby's fear, stress, shame, pain. Mother ignored it. So the anger was like the final extra kind of thing. But it's still the cry for love. Mother, I'm going to perish here. I'm in peril. I think I'm going to not make it here. Mother doesn't understand it. So he's doing the most desperate thing with the rage and the flame spelling SOS. It's not an insult to the mother. He's not trying to hurt the mother, attack the mother. He's just communicating. It's a signal. It's a signal, like a like a signal, like a flashlight. A signal. Mother, can't you see the signal? I'm flashing my flashlight. SOS, SOS. You know, mother, what's wrong with you? So something like that. It's not. Mothers say, "Oh, you're insulting me. How dare you express anger at me? I'm offended by this." Mother, I'm not criticizing you. I'm not blaming you. I need your love here. My anger means I want your love and connection and safety. I want an identity. I want a feelings. I didn't expect this would happen with you, Mother. I didn't expect you to be so impaired and have emotional dyslexia and warping and narcissism and entitlement. And you want me, and you made me so I could take care of you and mother you and soothe you. You're supposed to soothe me. I can't soothe you. You want me to soothe you? I'm here needing soothing by you, and you made me so I can soothe you. How can I be a mother to you? I'm very angry by this, Mother. Oh, you can't be angry at me? Okay, what's the baby gonna do? He's alone. He's really alone, isn't he? He's alone in this world. The baby's really alone in this world. No mother. So that's why in fairy tales the mother died at birth. He's a motherless child. Play the song Motherless Child. He's a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Many babies feel like a motherless child. He's got a mother himself. So he turns to the anger. Okay, anger, my own anger, you're my mother, okay? But it's hurting him. Ouch. Okay, make it pleasurable. Trick, distract, bury. Okay, then oral fixations. Okay, pain numbing things. Addictive things, repetition, compulsion things. Okay, eating, overeating, gambling, smoking, workaholism. Prejudice, blaming others, excuses, project, blame, project, externalized living, focus outwardly, keep yourself manic busy, entertained, amused, just find some endless amusement, distract, believe, make up beliefs, blame, but you're doing these kind of things to feel important and to numb the pain, and beliefs make you numb the pain, kind of thing. So there's a whole topic on how the pseudo-aggression or the rescue station or the confession of the lesser crime, i.e. neurotic living, dysfunctional living, whether superficially successful or not, either version, it's still a defense against psychomasochism. The psychomasochism means you still believe you got a fixed mother. Isn't it bittersweet, says the Twilight Zone? Isn't it bittersweet that you're going to stay dysfunctional and unhappy because you still want to fix the mother, save the mother, and get a loving mother? You're still hoping that mother will change. You're still hoping that mother will love you one day. You're still hoping that a magical time machine will appear to go back in the nursery, mother will say sorry and do it right. You're still hoping. Isn't it bittersweet that you're going to stay loyal to the trauma with her and believe she's good and wait for her to actually really be good? Meanwhile, you're chasing dreams of her. It's never no ice cream is the mother in the past, so you're going to symbolically look for her mother, still be disappointed, and then have that hope like that. But you're still tied to the rejection point of the fixated, the rejection point, the masochistic place like this. Isn't it bittersweet that you're still loyal? You're going to spend your whole life dysfunctional, unhappy, cloaked successfully or cloaked unsuccessfully. Either way, you're still not really embodied with the feeling self. The blue jay's not there, the gold ball's not there. The ability to have sex as an expression of love, that's going to be fragmented. So promiscuity and sex without love is going to also be a symptom of trauma because you're fragmented like that. Okay, there'll be a lot of bitter banter and sarcasm and cynicism that's going to gratify your sense of importance as a compensation. You feel defective inside. You feel mother didn't love you. You feel defective. Compensate by taking refuge at the time of uterus when you felt special and important. So cynicism gratifies this thing when you see your soul onto others and put them down. You're the mother who put you down, so you're the mother, you feel important. Faustian deal. Be the mother. Mother hurts you, so find someone to play you, because your soul is repressed. When something's repressed, you project. So find someone to stand in to play you and shame them to make you unaware that you're shaming yourself, because you're the mother, you're important. So when you make these negative jokes, you're important, right? You're the mother. Mother's important. You're the power. You're the active important one. So that's the Faustian deal. No time in the brain, so, you don't want to know you're shaming yourself because you're the mother who shamed yourself and you made it pleasurable, so that's called Schadenfreude. Now you're enjoying shaming yourself, but you don't know it because you shame someone else as a trick to think that they're you, not knowing that just because you shame someone else playing you, you're still shaming yourself with them. But the trick is it's a layered thing. Shall I compare thee to an onion? You do that to not know it's with them. So it's a double dysfunction. You're shaming yourself and you're shaming others, but you feel important. Narcissistic pride. You can't deal with narcissistic injury. Your only identity is narcissism. You never got enough love to get out of narcissism. Once again, all babies think they're kings and gods in the beginning. So cynicism gratifies narcissism and infantile megalomania. Okay, prejudice, blaming, okay, either-or thinking, jungle mentality thinking, the lack of empathy, lack of feelings for others. All you're doing is wanting to feel important. So it's a power complex, a status complex, and this kind of power, status, prestige. And you're only in that kind of mode to preserve your narcissism. Okay? And your soul, your devalued, shamed soul by the mother, well, you shame yourself because you did it. You're important. You did it. You have some kind of something to do in life. Well, you shame yourself. Mother was the powerful one, so you get your esteem like that. You think you're the mother. You're not yourself. So to make you unaware, you gotta find someone else to be like a placeholder so you can project and attribute your soul onto them. So if somebody shows sign of humanist, kindness, anything in the human area, okay, anything in the quote-unquote human side of being, they feel, they look wounded or something in the feeling area, aha, that's me. Mock it, shame it. You feel important. It's called Schadenfreude. So the person's living with Schadenfreude. That's that's a pathological joy. It's not Freudenfreude, pleasure in two people's happiness. This is a perverse, sick, ill joy, taking pleasure in other people's suffering to make you unaware that you're suffering. Others suffer as a distraction that you're suffering. Wherein lies thy agony, somebody said. You don't want to know it, so others play that role for you called scapegoating. So scapegoating will be very pronounced. So scapegoating is an example of pseudo-aggression. It's pseudo stuff. It's not assertion of your identity. You're not facing the truth. You're not working towards mourning. You're not going on the second journey. You're not going into the labyrinth. You're not going to the labyrinth. You're not facing the Medusa. You don't have the reflecting shield. You don't have the sword of discrimination, discernment. You're not doing any kind of work. You're not doing any kind of inner work, right? You're avoiding all that. So that's why it's called the hero's journey. In midlife, you recognize something's off, something's wrong. What the hell? Okay, now you begin the hero's journey. That marks the beginning of the hero's journey. When you say to yourself, what the hell? Something's missing, something's wrong. I don't get it. I got to figure it out. Okay, you just begin. You began the hero's journey. Welcome to your midlife. Somebody said, well, welcome to midlife. Welcome to the second half of life. It's called adult development. Adult development is you do this audit, a midlife examination period, midlife scrutiny period. Because you can deny, you can spend your life denying it. But you know, it's just a narcissistic, it's defensive life. It's just a defensive life. It's not the life connected to your authentic, original self, intrinsic self, true self, real self, feeling self. Okay, the golden ball's still down the road. You never got the golden ball back. Your soul, Rapunzel, still in the tower, never came back. Snow White still in her coma, sleeping. Someone down the line. The soul that morphed into birds, flying away somewhere, never came back. So the bird flies back, morphs back to the princess. Okay, that's your feminine. Now, when you're feminine from the doing from the feminine, that's the marriage. So in the fairy tale, when there's a marriage, okay, in the fairy tale, that means you're doing. The masculine can come from the being, because there is the being. So the being came because the bird came back and morphed back. And now you can do. So when you do from the being, the doing from the being, the yang and the yin, okay, the doing from the masculine from the feminine, maid and king, okay, that's the marriage. When you can now do from the feeling, that link is the marriage, the union between the two. They're married like that. That's why the ancient images were like a son and a husband and wife were holding the sticks or something, and there's a warm glow and the golden ball, and standing on the moon and the sun were there. It's a kind of nice little balancing kind of thing. I forgot exactly what it's called, mysterium or something. So it's a symbol of a health that you can do from your feelings. And you make sense, you're ethical, you're moral, you're virtuous, a path with heart. It's meaning to express from your feeling self. Masterson says, well, that's what meaning means. When you can express what's authentic about you, that's meaningful. People call it heart-based living, you know, ethical living like that. So there's feelings there. So you recognize we're all family. So you understand yourself, you understand others. Others are in pain. Well, they're in pain too. We're all wounded, and some have more self-awareness. Some maybe have less self-awareness or something. But we're all members of the same Homo Traumicus. We're one family, human family, Earth family. Okay, melanin is just a trivial biological variation based on how much sun there is. Or one theory is when the babies are traumatized, it damages the pineal gland responsible for melanin, so you get a shade of beige tone of skin instead of the regular shade of brown tone of skin. You forget about white skin or black skin, nonsense. Everybody's a human being with a quantity of melanin from 1 to 6. Okay, the regular is 6, but with the pineal gland being damaged or less sun exposure over time, the melanin dissipates in some kind of balancing act with the sun or something. It's a trivial, superficial biological variation. How much melanin, which is responsible for the tone of our skin, okay, eye color, hair color, superficial stuff, cosmetic kind of stuff. We're still one family like that. But when there's trauma, when there's more severe trauma, your identity, okay, one theory is, your identity reverts to the color of milk, and you think in those kind of very disturbed things. Enter Carl Sagan. Seriously? You think the Great Spirit in billions and billions of years and galaxies and suns and planets, the Great Spirit did all this for the traumatic idea? No, you're projecting your trauma. When you have prejudicial beliefs, that's a reflection of your trauma. Prejudice means trauma. Okay, these kind of disturbed ideas, this is trauma. Black humor, dark humor, dark humor. And you can say it like that, right? So Schadenfreude, that kind of humor, that's a sign of trauma. Playful humor where everybody's better off. Everybody learns and everybody's better off. Not at somebody's expense, that's normal humor. So that's another clue. If somebody has all this dark humor like that, that's another clue of trauma. Prejudice is a clue. Scapegoating is a clue of trauma. So there's now this is all the defense against psychomasochism. The deep belief the baby makes that he's got to protect his mother. Because the theory here is the baby thinks that the mother can't handle his needs and feelings. that they're a threat to her. Mother, you're threatened by me. I gotta protect you. I gotta get along with you. I gotta fix you. I gotta save you. So to protect you, I gotta think you're good for my survival, and I'll take the blame. I'll take the blame. I'm no good. That's pain. My anger turns in on myself. I make it pleasurable. It protects the mother like this. Isn't it bittersweet you're doing all this just for the mother? Does it work? Never. No matter how much the mother uses the boy, let's say it's a mother-son thing, no matter how much the mother parentifies the boy and makes the boy be a mama's boy, where the boy is clutching to her apron strings, it never works. She becomes more bitter, more nasty. It doesn't work. She'll get toxic, she'll get cancer. The more she does that disturbed thing, the sicker she gets. It doesn't work. Okay, so the mother using the child to comfort her, okay, it's just a delay thing. She's just delaying her healing, and the pain pump is still cranking up. So she's using more pain pump, using more. Now you're getting the addicted thing. So the mother using the baby to comfort her, she becomes addicted to the baby. The mother might become addicted to her son taking care of her. She enter the addiction topic today by Miss Lemke. Lemke, how do you pronounce her name? I'm not too familiar with her. I've seen her interview once, Dopamine Nation. So I just came across, I just saw the first, I didn't have much time this morning, so, but I did pluck out one quote from her, so let's do that one then. So that's a new idea. Does a mother, so I'm putting in a question form, does a mother or can a mother become addicted to getting comfort from the kid? Does she become addicted like this? The dopamine means she wants the hope that mother will, that the kid will heal her. So she's chasing. Separation anxiety, stress, chase more. Chasing more. Fear, stress, chase for more, but stress, chase. So it's accumulating. Now, this idea, more, give me more. Come on, be a better. Come on, son, do a better job taking care of me. Guilt trip, I made you to find me. You wouldn't be there with all those guilt trip. So she does more guilt trip, more, give me more. Is she addicted to the kid taking care of him? This poor kid, he'll need to turn to addictions to mother himself. Now, when we say the word addiction, we mean it in like a very broad term. It's on a spectrum to mild things like emotional eating. If you want something more and more, it's some kind of a obsessive, compulsive thing. You need it. It could be mild. The extreme end when it's destructive, more destructive. So that's the quote I want to do today here. Let's get into it then. What's the time? I got a late start here. What time is it? Can I check the time? 3:55. We still got an hour. Yeah, we've got about an hour here. Okay. Okay, let me hit the pause button on the music here. Yeah, I haven't played this in a while.
I know we held it in our arms, but we got scared and let it go. We could roll the rails. We could have taken any town. We could have danced along the bars. We could have burned the whole place down. When this love poured down like rain, and when we lived out on the line, and when we spun like hurricanes.
It's got a brand there. Yeah, so we talked about we played the song Haunted Heart recently. Haunted Heart by the short-lived pop band from the 80s called Alias. I think they had one or two minor hits or something, I forgot. But we played the song Haunted Heart. Actually, that music you just heard, that comes from her first album, her debut album called Slightly Haunted. Folk singers and pop, they got a fascination with haunted, feeling haunted. They got some new, must be something going on. Let me check something. What's going on here? There's some kind of a, oh no, okay. Oh, the tables are all reserved here. Oh, they got the reserved signs popping up. Okay, so when the people start pouring in, I'll leave. Slightly haunted. So we have two songs by the folk singer Lynn Miles on our soundtrack. This one here that you heard, I Know It Was Love, and the other one called This Heart That Lives in Winter. And we have a third one of hers as well. Okay, so, bear with me. This is out of my zone. I'm learning it myself here. I'm not a shrink, biologist, doctor. I have no PhD. So I'm kind of learning this myself. So I want to follow up on the idea that of limerence. So remember, the baby needs blissful oneness if that's missing. So in the present, if somebody you think has some kind of is a psychological copy of your mother, that flares up the needed bliss with the mother. So the person in the present is a fantasy figure of the mother who can give you the bliss so you can resume development, have your identity and feelings. So there's a great excitement. So for a little while you feel the blissful wiring with the mother, even if it was just in the uterus. It's called the blissful euphoria, this blissful feeling. So that's being triggered up by somebody who reminds you of the mother. That's called falling, love at first sight, spellbound, limerence. Again, this is a puppy love, infatuation, this mad, excited feeling that you're in heaven, floating. Play the music video to Melanie Thornton's song "Love How You Love Me." All those couples are floating up in the air, floating, 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 blissful, relaxed, floating feeling. This light floating feeling. You feel happy, or blissed out feeling. So all those couples floating in the air means this. That's called the limerence. One lady calls it limerence. So limerence means you regard somebody as a fantasy figure. That fantasy figure is you thinking you're a baby, and that fantasy figure is the breast who's going to give you the bliss. Can you believe it? Remember, that brain doesn't know time. So you don't think in those kind of terms. You just say, oh, I'm madly in love with her, crazy about her, she's the one, perfect one, waiting, waiting all my life, this kind of stuff. So, at last, finally I resume development. Finally I get the love I've been waiting for all my life. Finally I'm going to get love. Finally I'm going to get my golden ball. That's what you want, right? Get out of this pain. So when somebody in the present reminds you of the mother in the past, it's going to flare up the wiring you laid down, and embedded in the wiring was the original bliss, even if it was just in the uterus. So that's going to flare up the blissful, euphoric, floating feeling, because the baby in the uterus is floating. The baby in the uterus has no sense of place, time, floating, spaceless, universe, everything floating. Okay, he has that kind of feeling. So you're kind of feeling a bit of that, called the euphoria feeling, delirious euphoria. Like that. So that's called falling in love, honeymoon phase, all that stuff. Okay, so that means Miss Fisher was saying, so is that an emotion? Can we name an emotion for that? Is it technically an emotion, or is it more about the excitement of the chase and the fantasy, and feeling the oxytocin and the blissful euphoria and the chemistry of the blissful euphoria and the chase for it? And then you got the stress, and you're worried you're not going to get it, so you're in a panic, so you chase more and you want more because you don't want to lose it, because the stress of thinking you're going to lose it. Now you got this loop going on, so it leads to madness, love leads to madness, lovesick, okay, and all that. So we played What a Fool Believes songs. So Rick Sander's Lovesick, Dan McCafferty singing Love Leads to Madness, like that. Because the madness is you need the love. You think that person's not going to be it, so you're stressed. In distress, you chase more. You chase more, you're excited more, hope more, but you're going to lose it. Of the stress of losing, you chase more. Stress of losing, chase more. Stress of losing, chase more. That's this madness. And this more, fear, dopamine, chase, exciting. This madness, it has an addictive, it's a form of addiction called love addiction, or romance addiction, or addicted to love, or something like that. So Helen Fisher was saying, she took 15 unrequited people on the scanner, showed them photos of the partner that just dumped them, and they go, oh wow, and then blink, 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 the dopamine went crazy in the brain. So it's more about dopamine, she theorizes. It's more about the chemistry of dopamine, the fantasy, and you're feeling the euphoria of being blissful oneness, is it really an emotion if it's not from the body? Because you're just on the floor. It's the chemistry thing that baby's in. Yes, babies feel, but what are they feeling, right? Their embodiment, their feeling self develops with the development of their identity, but the identity didn't take place really. It's kind of in the background, undeveloped, the budding beauty. Remember, Snow White's in a coma, so you're not really feeling from the Snow White place. If the princess morphed from the bird and flew away, how do you feel, kind of thing? So you're feeling the chemistry of the fantasy, of the hope, of the previous place, of the blissful euphoria, like that. So she thinks it's more about chemistry like that, love chemistry like that. So she says falling in love is more about dopamine. Dopamine's chase, anticipation, motivation. Come on. But like she said, you're worried it's not going to be there. That's stress. When there's stress, chase. Because when you chase, the purpose of chasing is you think that when you get something, you're going to feel safe. And the serotonin is the chemistry of safety when you get the thing. But to get the thing, you got to chase for the thing. The chase for the thing is called dopamine. So one line is dopamine for the chase, serotonin from the catch. Well, yeah, very simple, right? You're excited. Something's on sale. You're excited to go there. You got the last one. You feel better. Stuff like that. So the pursuit of the thing, that's called dopamine. And you bought the thing. I got it. I feel safe for the minute. You got your favorite cookies. So you feel safe through the trickery of okay, there's a whole topic on why cookies make you safe for the moment. Just briefly, for the moment you feel safe. So on that point, go to yesterday's video at the Swan Place. We talked briefly about Ullman and Paul's theory about the addictive trigger mechanism, Ersatz self-object fantasies, chemistry, and the mechanism of this area. Ullman and Paul's book called Narcissus in Wonderland. So we talked a bit about that yesterday as well. Okay, so let's do this person's summary of Helen Fisher's. This is from some kind of one of those like notes, like Cole's notes kind of thing. There's no author was given. So here he or she says the following, quoting this thing that I'm talking about just now, mentioned yesterday as well. Okay, just as the symptoms of euphoric love, romantic love, infantile love, passion love, limerence love, transference love, spellbound, okay, this excited stuff, right? Just as the symptoms of euphoric love are enjoyed by people the world over, so are the agonizing effects of unrequited love. So this phenomena takes place all around the world. You have these mad love romantic tales from all over the place. That means we're homotraumakas. Babies are not getting the blissful oneness. So this stuff with puppy love stuff started roughly 10,000, somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 years ago when babies were traumatized. Again, there's a whole topic on that area. Anyways, so generally speaking, we're homotraumakas. Most babies are not getting the proper development. We're homotraumakas. So now some are very detached from it. They go very schizoid. They don't bother. They don't feel it. But some are willing to have the hope for it. Some associate too much pain, so they don't even bother, and they give up on it. So some people never say, "I never fall." I don't know what that means. What is that? What is all this excitement for? Well, they don't want to allow themselves that kind of hope because the disappointment they anticipate, and they're right. There will be disappointment. Some people are willing to feel the pain. Just as the symptoms of euphoric love are enjoyed everywhere in the world. Another sign of the commonality, right? All babies around the world have the innate 9 affects. Paul C. Hollinger's book, What Babies Say Before They Can Talk. You can take a baby from any place, anytime, anywhere, same organs, same physiology, same stuff. So we're really one. We're really one. Homo sapien, homotraumakus, like that. We're really one. Like we're one. There's only one hominid grew the cortex. That was us. You don't see any humans with no cortex. We can all speak, right? We can all speak, okay? We can all write and read and have symbols and dance. You know, we can all do, we're all, Jesus Christ, it's pretty obvious. That the differences we see are superficial. Diet maybe over time, and the sun exposure over time, and then the trauma. See, the trauma, the theory about the trauma, maybe it damages the pineal gland so they get less melanin. That part I don't know about too much. Just as the symptoms of euphoric love are enjoyed by people the world over, so are the agonizing effects of unrequited love or lost love. So we all feel this stress of the stress that we felt as a baby when we thought mother was going to abandon us. We had the hope mother would be there. Oh, reminded of when she abandoned me. Stress again. We already went through that. But we had a hope, we trusted, we experienced it. So imagine all the stress the baby felt. Man, oh man, the baby felt a lot of stress. If we as adults, we experienced what we felt as babies, and we're in a madness about it. Whoa, imagine what the baby was feeling. He blotted it out somehow. He really, he did a lot of tricks in the mind, right, to deal with that. If we have a hard time being reminded of the pain, imagine what we felt as a baby with that pain originally. Like, whoa, eh? So babies are genius to make it pleasurable, deny it, repress it, mask it, rationalization, okay, distract. But the need is still there. When there's trauma, we live with the unconscious hope for the fulfillment of old unfulfilled needs. So now you try for it, and now you're feeling what you felt back then. So, okay, the message is, the idea is to admit the actual experience of what happened, mourn it, feel it to heal it, mourn it, admit it. That then you let the haunted, then the ghost is laid to rest. You can live in the present. You can invest your life force for the present instead of repeating the past. Okay, when you get your story, aha, the present's not the past. Oh my God, the present's not the past. Holy, you know what? My whole life has just been the past. Oh my God, the present's not the past. Oh my God, what a relief, right? So now you're free for the present. Now you enjoy the present. Yesterday's metaphor was but the space capsule one. Let's not do that one. Okay, just as the symptoms of transference love, puppy love, romantic love are enjoyed by people the world over, so are the agonizing effects of unrequited love. We experience, okay, the whole gamut of the love sickness. Whatever it is, appetite, can't eat, can't sleep, sad, obsessive thinking, anger, mood swings, okay, so on down the line. Okay, but what is it that makes this unrequited love so powerful? Like, what's going on here? So you fell in love at first sight. You thought she was the one. She had no interest in you, and why are you so upset? What's going on here? Well, okay. Well, it's the desperation of the panic called abandonment depression. The baby thought he was going to perish and be a goner. So you're feeling this feeling of being a goner, going to perish. Okay, immense shame and rage, abandonment, depression, helplessness, powerless. Mother's giant, she's attacking you, your rage attacking you, your own anger's attacking yourself, mother's attacking you, your own anger's attacking. This is a distressful kind of, you're feeling all that stuff. You had a hope to finally undo that trauma, get the love that you should have received in the past. But the present isn't the past, but your survival brain doesn't know time. So you're feeling now what the baby felt. That's why it's so confusing. Okay, dopamine. So one key thing here, at least we can isolate one factor involved in all this, i.e. dopamine. What's dopamine? Well, dopamine is the so-called reward system. So you look for the reward. So when you buy the ice cream, that's the reward. So dopamine is the chase for the reward. The reward is the ice cream. Ah, I got the thing. So when you get something that you believe is that you chased for, and you get it, success, I got it, aha, and then you get serotonin, because the thing you believe is at least going to make you feel safe for the moment, and the safety gives you serotonin. And when you got serotonin, safety, that pushes back the cortisol, adrenaline, stress hormones, toxic stress, it pushes it back. So when you get oxytocin and serotonin, the stress stuff goes back and you feel calmer like that. And the quick example was it Janov or somebody? I forgot the author. Somebody had 2 monkeys who were always grooming each other, the 2 monkeys. I don't know if they were a couple or whatever, just 2 friends. I don't know, two buddies or a couple. I'm not sure what it was. I didn't get that part. But 2 monkeys were always grooming each other, right? You know, combing each other's hairs and picking the bugs out, or touching each other, telling, you know, is this okay? Is this okay? They were always, they were constantly grooming each other, like the swans yesterday in the park, in the restaurant there. There's a clip in the video yesterday. You'll see the swans. I was trying to film them. They were just grooming themselves. Come on, swans, flap your wings for the audience. No, we're busy grooming ourselves. That's funny about the swans. They don't groom each other, right? They can do it themselves somehow. But they sit close to each other, so they got the comfort of that. Okay, anyways, so the monkeys groom each other. So they separated those 2 love monkeys, and they were under immense stress. And while they were separated, their cortisol level raised up. The serotonin pushed down, oxytocin pushed down, stress, adrenaline was up for both of them. When they were reunited, they started grooming each other. Okay, things flipped. The cortisol went up, the cortisol went down, oxytocin, serotonin went up. So when you release the safety and the serotonin, that pushed back down the stress. You don't need the stress anymore. You're safe. Connection, safe. Connection, love, connection, together, safe. Safe, serotonin, safe. Don't need to stress. Stress means you're not safe. So this seems to be associated. So when you're not safe, chase for the safety. Dopamine for the chase. Dopamine for safety. Dopamine is the chase for the serotonin. You can think about it like that. The goal is serotonin, right? Something that makes you feel safe. So the excitement and the motivation and the anticipation, the chemistry of this, the excitement of it all, because you're so hopeful, is called dopamine. So the name of her book, Dopamine Nation, right? Her theory is that we're too dopaminergic, like we're too dominated by dopamine. We're just always chasing all the time because there's too much trauma, so we're chasing. Mothers are not staying at home nursing their babies, holding the babies. Some mothers don't even barely get. Mother's supposed to stay home, for 18 months at least. 4 to 5 months in the bed. Okay, so there's a whole topic about that area. Dopamine fuels the reward system of the brain in love-smitten individuals, love-obsessed individuals. So dopamine's going on here, motivating them to achieve their goal, i.e. being with the one they're obsessed with. However, if a person endures a prolonged wait for their reward, as in the case with unrequited or lost love, well, dopamine continues. The brain's reward system, dopamine continues to flood the brain's reward system. You don't have the ability to admit the loss. You don't have identity to admit the loss. You don't have sadness and the golden ball to admit the loss. You still need the person to have development so you can be able to admit losses. So that's what you want. You want the ability to admit losses. So you want that person to give you the love so you can have that capacity to admit losses. But if there is a loss, you can't admit the loss. So chase more and more. So you're more excited, you're more desperate. Because you want to be in a healthy place where reality, if there is something you didn't get, you can say, okay, I get it. I feel sad, but that's okay. So you want that capacity to feel sad. You want the golden ball. You thought the person was going to give you the golden ball finally. You don't have the golden ball to admit that you didn't get that person who would give you the golden ball. So you're more dopamine. More dopamine floods you. because you're more stressed by it. You had to hope for it. That triggers the baby experience that he's going to perish. So you're reliving the baby drama. You're reliving the chemistry of what the baby must have went through. He must have numbed out, cried himself to sleep and all this. These, where are we? The brain. Okay, these excessive dopamine levels not only elicit. Okay, I know I'm being a little vague myself. I feel as I'm speaking, I feel like little question marks going along. So this will be updated as. Okay, in the meantime, these excessive dopamine levels not only elicit incredibly intense goal-directed behaviors, but also feelings of fear and separation anxiety. You're being reminded of mother abandoning you, abusing you, hurting you, using you, shaming you. You're being reminded of all this. It was suspended, it flared up, so you're feeling it again. So now those old fears called anxiety. So anxiety means those old fears are coming to you. Anxious feelings cause the panic, engaging the stress system of the human brain. Short-term stress prompts a spike into production of dopamine while pushing away the safe part, so the serotonin. Okay. As we are rejected in love, our stress mechanisms elevate levels of chemicals that cause attraction and reduce levels of the chemical that regulate compulsive thoughts. Okay, so under stress, serotonin goes down, cortisol goes up. This only further inflames our passion and desire for the beloved, the very thing that is making us miserable. While trapped in this vicious cycle, spurned lovers also experience withdrawal symptoms. Lovers even experience. Okay, hang on. Okay, so as I understand it, right? You think the one that you're obsessed with is going to be totally gone. So you're stressed about that. So you try harder. Now you're chasing more. More dopamine. More chase. Now you're more chase. Now you're feeling more of the pain. That's why there's more chase. You're feeling more of the pain. That's why there's more chase, to get the safety, to put back the pain. So the woman not responding is you're reliving what you felt in the nursing time. Baby was kicking and distressing and spitting and vomiting. He's going to perish, right? The colicky baby, he's going to be a goner like that. It's amazing. It's amazing that that's why Lowen says, you got musculature arm, the body bears the burden. You get symptoms. The anger's going in your body. That's why people get symptoms. People get symptoms and sicknesses from this stuff. It goes in the body like that. Lovers even experience relapses akin to addicts. A sentimental song can trigger an uncomfortable craving to see the object of their affections again. Dejected lovers suffer the intense agony of being caught in a cycle of misery, stressed and upset because their affections are unreturned, but still desperate to be with their loved one because of the chemicals their anxiety releases in the brain. In this way, love is a kind of addiction. Love is an addiction. Okay, I don't know who wrote this, but they were commenting on the book. So Helen Fisher has 3 books: Anatomy of Love, Why We Love, Why Him, Why Her. Is that right? Why Him, Why Her. That's her most famous one, about the dating system or something. Anatomy of Love and Why We Love. I didn't know. Yeah, she just passed away last year, in her 90s or something. So she had a long, happy life, I guess. Yeah, so she passed away August of 24. She's an anthropologist. She wasn't a shrink, only an anthropologist. Now, based on this one with Fisher, I then found the Lemke one, Lemke, because about dopamine. So let's continue here with Miss Lemke. Okay, so in this way, love is an addiction. Okay, now Lemke says, addiction, broadly defined, is the continued compulsive use of a substance or behavior despite the effects to yourself or others. Now, addiction is on a spectrum. Most of us are not dealing with life-threatening addictions, but nearly all of us are struggling with some form of compulsive over-consumption. Emotional eating, smoking, drinking, gambling, promiscuity. Some kind of compulsive overconsumption. So she regards compulsive overconsumption as a mild form of addiction. So don't think of addiction as only the extreme stuff. It could be the mild stuff. It's on a spectrum. Addiction occurs on a spectrum. To begin, think of a substance or behavior. Perhaps there's more than one, that you are using in ways contrary to your desires or intentions, or that produces effects that run counter to your goals and expectations for your health, relationships, or career. Good question. So if you didn't spend all the money smoking or something, or you could, buy something for the kids or whatever, right? Perhaps you're using more than you planned. You're eating more than you should or something. Okay. Perhaps you've repeatedly told yourself, tomorrow I'm going to stop. Tomorrow never comes. Perhaps you're lying about the importance of this, minimizing the effects of this. Oh, what's the big deal? Things like that. All these cookies, they're not so bad. It doesn't have this chemical in it. This can't be that. Perhaps other people have commented that you're using it too much. Jesus, you smoke all that every day? Oh my God. Go beyond the kinds of substances and behaviors we traditionally think of as addictive, like alcohol and cigarettes. So we're not only talking about alcohol and cigarettes and food. Widen your lens to appreciate that in today's world, we can get addicted to other things too. Because almost everything has been engineered to be more reinforcing, novel, plentiful, accessible. Okay, consider processed food, social media, video games, online shopping, exercise, texting, and so the list is endless. Yeah, so apparently the casino thing, they pump in the air a synthetic oxytocin to bond to the place that the casino is going to be the best. You're connected. Now you don't want to leave because you feel the love hormone. So it's really things are being designed to make it. You walk into the supermarket and you smell the brownies, fresh brownies, the bakery section, things like that. Oh, the blinking lights. Yeah, you online shopping, but you're bombarded with 100 flashes per millisecond. It's ridiculous. You can't. It's just madness. These ads. It's meant to stimulate your dopamine or somehow. So video games, social media, or she calls it digital. What'd you call it again? Digital addiction. Digital. Yeah, she says she wants people to go on a digital detox. So if somebody says, help, I play video games all day long. Okay, you need to go on a digital detox. Give it a try. If she's successful in persuading the kid to go on a digital detox, the kid says, you know what, I do feel better. I can't believe it. I panicked at first, but I feel much better. Yeah, I don't want to go on. I say, ew, I don't want to go on anymore. You might well ask, what is the difference between a passion, a habit, and an addiction? Well, the crucial difference is whether the substance or behavior is causing harm. The harm is not always immediately apparent, either because we can't see it, even when others can, or because the harm is subtle and cumulative. When it comes to prescriptions, when it comes to the harder stuff, we are taking as medicine. Okay, it says here, I'm not a doctor, disclaimer, I'm just reading from the book here. When it comes, this is a self-help book for the public. When it comes to drugs, we are taking as medicine. Okay, this is prescription. Your doctor gave you a prescription. Is that right? When it comes to that, and or substances and behaviors that are culturally celebrated. Okay, work, prestige, money, power. Harms are notoriously hard to detect. Okay, I see. So if you're addicted to work, you're addicted to shopping, you're addicted to status, you're addicted to showing off or something, these things are kind of socially acceptable, so you don't really notice it, right? But there's still an underlying hidden addiction somehow. Even if you don't think you have a major problem with over-consuming certain behaviors or substances, perhaps there are areas where you have to regularly work to keep things in check, or they could become unbalanced and cause you harm in life. Addicted to perfection, addicted to OCD, addicted to control, addicted to micromanaging, addicted to work. To understand addiction, it's important to understand homeostasis. Imagine that in your reward pathway there sits a balance, like a teeter-totter, a seesaw in a kid's playground. Okay, so this is okay. This next point here, this is a beginning process on my end to know what she's talking about. I don't fully get it. I get it, but I don't really get it. It sounds interesting and curious, so I'm just in the curious phase here. So what I'm about to read is just a curious thing here. So she's got the metaphor by the way, of a teeter-totter in the brain. And there's always some kind of homeostasis between pain and pleasure, like there's some kind of balance in the brain. You don't feel too much pleasure, you don't feel too much pain, and there's a compensating thing. There's a balance like that. So if you're feeling pain, well, get something to numb the pain. So if the pain's too high, that's this one. If the pain's too high, then you want on this side put some pleasurable things to balance it, right? But if you balance it and there's too much pleasure, then you got to balance the pleasure with more pain. So if you get too many good things that you like, too many shopping and activity, manic, then there's got to be more pain to keep the homeostasis. And finally, if it does, it may get to a point where she calls you're dependent on the pleasure to balance the pain, and that's the addicted brain, she says. So this is the question mark here. Again, to understand addiction, it's important to understand homeostasis. Imagine that in your reward pathway there sits a balance, like a teeter-totter or a seesaw in a kid's playground. What if instead we continue to consume our pleasurable thing more and more over hours, days, weeks, months, years? So you're not in pain, but you keep eating cookies and cookies and cookies. Everything's okay, you're calm. Let me eat cookies and cookies. So now you're eating more cookies. So the pain side's got to jump up. It's got to jump in to balance it. So she imagines these pain bits as little gremlins, pain gremlins, to balance the teeter-totter. So as you're eating more cookies, more gremlins jump on the other side to keep the balance. Yeah, so you keep the balance of the teeter-totter. So if you got cookies and cookies, the seesaw's going this way, that means it's going to jump on here, the gremlins, to keep the balance. Okay. Now to keep the balance, now when you're like that, there may be more gremlins popping up, so now you need more cookies. Right? Eat more cookies, more gremlins pop in to keep the balance. Now you got this phenomena where your gremlins keep popping on as you eat more cookies. The cookies, gremlins. Okay. More gremlins need more cookies. More cookies need more gremlins. So you got this teeter-totter thing where you're constantly trying to push back the gremlins, and when you do so, gremlins pop on. And I gotta push it away, pops on, push it away, pops on, and now you're at the point where you gotta sustain this. Otherwise, the gremlins pile on. So now you're dependent on the cookies to keep the gremlins, to keep the homeostasis with the gremlins, she says. At some point, I don't know when, but at some point, it's not clear to me. I'm not sure if it's clear to her either. It leads to the quote-unquote addicted brain. Now you hurt yourself somehow. Where is it here? Those gremlins start to multiply, and pretty soon entire gangs of them are camped out on the pain side of the balance, moving vans and barbecues in tow. So she jokingly says the gremlins are coming on teeter-totter, and they bring the U-Haul, and more gremlins pop out, and they're gonna sit there and they put tents in. They get the barbecue, they're gonna stay there. Now, since they're staying there, you need more cookies to keep the homeostasis, and they don't go off. And they might even bring their buddies. I don't know, more gremlins come on. I'm not really clear on this, to tell you the truth. We've entered addicted brain, having effectively changed the hedonic set point in the brain. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but she calls it the hedonic set point. Some kind of homeostasis. Now, so just temporarily, let's use a phrase here. The pleasure set point. What does she mean by hedonic? The pleasure set point. The set point in your brain where there's a balance, where you're not freaking out all the time. Now we need to use, fill in the blank, the cookies. Now we need to eat or smoke or drink, not to feel good, but just to stop feeling bad. Oh, I see, okay. So if you feel bad, you eat cookies. Now the addicted brain means, I better eat those cookies to stop feeling bad. Hang on. Now we need to eat cookies, not to feel good, but just to stop feeling. What's the difference here? You ate the cookies because you were feeling bad, right? So you ate the cookies to feel good because you were feeling bad. She says here, no, you eat the cookies to stop feeling bad. Oh, I feel bad, I eat cookies. See, here's another question mark on my end. What's the difference? What's the difference between eating cookies to feel good and eating cookies to not feel bad? What's the difference? Question mark here. Maybe I'm missing something here. When we're not eating cookies or doing whatever, we are experiencing the universal symptoms of withdrawal from any addictive substance or behavior, that is, anxiety. Okay, now, okay, all the withdrawal. Okay, insomnia, irritability, dysphoria, craving. The changed hedonic set point, which scientists call allostasis, explains in part why people relapse to their drug of choice even when they can rationally observe that their lives are better off without it. So that's the kid playing the video games. Let's take him for a sec, right? So he realized it's better off not being addicted to video games. He feels better, calmer, oh good. But if he's under stress, he goes back to the video games. Why would he do that? He knows he feels better. Okay, this last bit here. Okay, so by the way, I'm reading from, by the way, I'm doing a 3150 here. Okay, this is just an abbreviation here. So somebody took a rat or a mouse or whatever, a mouse in a box. Okay. So this little surprise to me as well here. Once again, disclaimer times 1,000. I'm not a pharmacologist. I don't know this kind of stuff. But according to Miss Lemke, L-E, M as in Mary, B as in Bob, K-E. How do you pronounce that? Lemb, K? Is the B silent? The B's probably silent, right? Like lamb, right? But it's lem. Okay. Instead of lamb, it's lem, and then k. So is it lemke or lemk? So it's either lemke or lemk. One of those two. The woman who wrote Dopamine Nation. This one. Okay, for a rat in a box, if you give the mouse or the rat some chocolate, the dopamine in the brain jumps up 55%. 55. So whatever dopamine is going on with the rat or the mouse, if he's eating chocolate, the dopamine level jumps up 55%. Okay, if you give the mouse a girlfriend or a partner, it goes up 100%. If you give the mouse nicotine, it goes up 150%. Okay, give the mouse or the rat the ADH, it's called Adderall. It's illegal in most places. It's illegal, but in some places with a prescription they'll give it to you or something. Adderall. I heard some celebrity say I'm sorry people, when I sing I'm on this stuff. Sorry people, I know you like my music, I know you like me, but I want to let you know I'm on this stuff here. So anyways, when they gave this drug called Adderall, this illegal drug called Adderall, it went up 1,000%. The dopamine in the mouse or rat went up 1,000%. So in other words, Adderall is 10 times more powerful in the dopamine chase excitement than the mate one. 20 times more than chocolate. So Adderall is 20 times more powerful than chocolate, right? 10, maybe 8 times more than nicotine. Just to give you this is just like a ballpark idea. I'm just trying to understand this. I'm just trying to myself understand this dopamine thing. So the dopamine increases. So why do people need a boost in dopamine? Why don't you have a goal, you think something, and you go for it? Why do you need like an extra go for it chemistry? Like why? I don't get this. Let's do it this way. Let me let's read this thing out while I think about it. Hold on a second. Yeah, why do people need dopamine? Why do people need to increase their dopamine? I don't get it.
Just as the symptoms of euphoric love are enjoyed by people the world over, so are the agonizing effects of unrequited or lost love. We experience mood swings, flashes of rage, loss of appetite, insomnia, paranoia, depression, and total despair. But what is it that makes unrequited love so powerful? Dopamine fuels the reward system of the brain in love-smitten individuals, motivating them to achieve their goal, being with the object of their affections. However, if a subject endures a prolonged wait for their reward, as is the case with unrequited or lost love, dopamine continues to flood the brain's reward system. These excessive dopamine levels not only elicit incredibly intense goal-directed behaviors, but also feelings of fear and separation anxiety. Anxious feelings cause panic, engaging the stress system of the human brain. Short-term stress prompts a spike in production of dopamine and norepinephrine while suppressing serotonin. As we are rejected in love, our panic and stress mechanisms elevate levels of chemicals that cause passionate attraction and reduce levels of the chemical that regulate compulsive thoughts. This only further inflames our passion and desire for our beloved, the very thing that is making us miserable. While trapped in this vicious cycle, spurned lovers also experience withdrawal symptoms. Lovers even experience relapses akin to addicts. A sentimental song can trigger an uncontrollable craving to see the object of their affections again. Dejected lovers suffer the intense agony of being caught in a cycle of misery, stressed and upset because their affections are unreturned, but still desperate to be with their loved one because of the chemicals their anxiety releases in the brain. In this way, love is an addiction. Unknown referencing H. Fisher. Addiction, broadly defined, is the continued, compulsive use of a substance or behavior despite harm to self and or others. Addiction occurs on a spectrum. Most of us are not dealing with life-threatening addictions, but nearly all of us are struggling with some form of compulsive overconsumption. To begin, think of a substance or behavior. Perhaps there's more than one that you are using in ways contrary to your desires or intentions, or that produces effects that run counter to your goals and expectations for your health, relationships, or career. Perhaps you're using more than you planned. Perhaps you've repeatedly told yourself, tomorrow I'm going to take a break, but then tomorrow never comes. Perhaps you're lying about your use, minimizing the time and money spent. Perhaps other people have commented that you're using too much. Go beyond the kinds of substances and behaviors we traditionally think of as addictive, like alcohol and cigarettes. Widen your lens to appreciate that in today's world, we can get addicted to almost anything because almost everything has been engineered to be more reinforcing, novel, plentiful, and accessible. Consider processed food, social media, video games, online shopping, exercise, texting. The list really is endless. You might well ask, what is the difference between a passion, a habit, and an addiction? The crucial difference is whether the substance or behavior is causing harm. The harm is not always immediately apparent, either because we can't see it even when others can, or because the harm is subtle and cumulative. When it comes to drugs we are taking as medicine and/or substances and behaviors that are culturally celebrated, like work, prestige, money, and power, harms are notoriously hard to detect. Even if you don't think you have a major problem with overconsuming certain behaviors or substances, perhaps there are areas where you have to regularly work to keep things in check, or they could become unbalanced and cause harm in your life. To understand addiction, it is important to understand homeostasis. Imagine that in your reward pathway there sits a balance, like a teeter-totter in a kid's playground. What if instead we continue to consume our drug of choice over hours, days, weeks, months, or years? Those gremlins start to multiply, and pretty soon entire gangs of them are camped out on the pain side of the balance, moving vans and barbecues in tow.
We've entered addicted brain, having effectively changed our hedonic, set point to the side of pain. Now we need to use not to feel good, but just to stop feeling bad. When we're not using, we are experiencing the universal symptoms of withdrawal from any addictive substance or behavior. That is, anxiety, irritability, insomnia, dysphoria, and craving. The changed hedonic set point, which neuroscientists call elastosis, explains in part why people relapse to their drug of choice even when they can rationally observe that their lives are better off without the drug. For a rat in a box, chocolate increases the basal output of dopamine in the brain by 55%, sex by 100%, nicotine by 150%. Adderall that are used to treat attention deficit disorder increases the release of dopamine by 1,000%. Alemka. TQ 3150.
So the dopamine, maybe it's the constant need to be active as a defense against the passivity that we felt. So we're always feeling pain from the passivity of mother hurting us, right? So we always have to be active to push away the pain. So the dopamine is the active, the chemistry of being active. So that's why we're always active. But every time you're active, the pain's still there, right? Hold on a second. Just hang on here for a bit. Now, okay, I think the idea is that there's a timeless pain of the passive experience. There's no time. We're in a timeless, all the time passive pain, what's called psychomasochism. So the activity, we always have to be active. The chemistry of being active is dopamine. So we're always active. So we have to keep being active to feel important. Now that's going to correspond to narcissism. So you want to maintain the homeostasis of your narcissistic identity. So narcissism itself, just being a narcissist, is an addictive thing, right? Because you're dependent. You have to keep doing it. You're dependent on it. You can't stop it. You can't stop being a narcissist, right? A narcissist has to be a narcissist. So they're dependent on the attitude that they're entitled, the world owes them a living, who cares about you, all that stuff. But the whole narcissistic thing. So that's an addictive thing like that. So they're always active like that. OCD, perfectionistic, entitled, that's very active. So dopamine is the active of the pursuit of their narcissistic supply. So the narcissistic supply would be the reward. They get the supply. And they're dependent on the supply. They got to keep getting the supply. If they're worried about not getting the supply, they feel stressed, they got to try harder. That's a dependency. So they're dependent on the narcissistic supply. Seeing others in a devalued place so they feel important by comparison. Feeling entitled to be center stage is all about them. Being admired and thought of as the aggressor somehow. Not being quote-unquote fed symbolically, and so on. So that's addictive, right? So these negative personalities are all addictions. So narcissus comes from the flower Narcissus. The narcissus flower is named after well, the narcissus flower is considered addictive. Narke, narkao in the ancient Greece. That flower gives people an addictive thing. So they named the psychology of narcissism after the addictive flower. So narcissism is in reference to it being addictive simply by choosing the flower to name that psychology after. So that's the active side of it all. So dopamine is always active. Motivation, anticipation, go, right? Now when we're doing is in pursuit of something that you need to push away the pain, okay? Or can you do something from your authentic self, which is an expression of your beingness? So there's two kinds of doing, obviously, right? There's a defensive doing called neurotic pride, searching for neurotic pride, versus the healthy pride of expressing your authentic self. Now, if you don't have the authentic self, then you're in the defensive self. So you got a defensive need. So the defensive needs can be addictive. Whereas if you have an authentic self, there's no urgency to do anything, you just so naturally express your uniqueness like that. I'm gonna have to leave here in a couple of minutes here. Let's see. Half the tables here have a reserved sign on it. It's gonna be a big function. Let's see, let's check the time here. 5 o'clock, okay, yeah. Let's leave in a few minutes. Today's a Saturday, it's gonna be busy here. I gotta confess, I don't have much material, new material in this video here. I mean, new analytic insights. Just, I'm kind of on an angle here with this biology area. So we're trying to keep the teeter-totter, chase to not feel the pain, chase to not feel the pain, chase to not feel the pain. There's this teeter-totter seesaw, right? We want this homeostasis. Chase to not feel the pain, pain, chase, pain, chase, this teeter-totter thing, right? Maybe she means it like that. Other quotes on the addictive idea was, it's pseudo-mother, fake mother, in lieu of mother, substitute mother, repetition compulsion is addictive. One guy said the beer bottle is the only mother he ever had, the only thing he can trust and rely on, the only thing that soothes him. It's a trick, of course, but it's the only thing he ever had like that. Kind of sad, right? So I would say if there's any mother out there who has a son who's addicted in any way to some substance or thing, she's got to come clean and say, I'm sorry. You're chasing for symbolic mother because you never had me. I made you to mother me, so you never had a mother. I'm sorry. I feel badly. See them preparing now. Let's see. One second. Maybe I'll look for a song. Okay, the low one in quotes, I'm just going to leave it. 3103, right? Schizoid. Katie Lee has a line in here in her song, it must be something psychological. She says, well, maybe it's chemical. Why don't we play that song here? So let's close up with Katie Lee's song called It Must Be Something Psychological. It's really quite explainable. And when the song ends, I'll hit the stop button. I'm sorry for the lack of clarity here. I'm just beginning to learn this material. So it's a process I need to go through. I need to make mistakes so I can correct it, kind of thing. So it must be something psychological and chemical. Okay, thanks very much. May the psychoanalytic force be with you. Saved by understanding. Saved by understanding. Saved by increased understanding, increased consciousness. Consciousness is the healer. Awareness is the healer. Because then you realize it's the present, not the past. You realize you don't need to repeat the past because you're not in the past. You need consciousness for that. Forgiveness, understanding supports this. It must be something psychological. Thanks very much for the love of narrative medicine. May the psychoanalytic force be with you.
It must be something psychological. It may be something very physical that makes me feel the way I do whenever I'm in touch with you. I think it's something strange and mystical. It might be something very chemical. What is this force between us two that makes me gravitate to you? I know you're not my ego ideal, you're unlike my father or brother, but the way I feel does not become a sister, a pal, or a mother. Still, it must be something psychological. It may be something very physical that makes me feel the way I do whenever I'm in touch with you. It's something psychological. You're not my ego ideal, you're unlike my father or brother, but the way I feel does not become a sister, a pal, or a mother. My yearning's really quite explainable. I want you 'cause you're unattainable. Just let me get my hands on you, and then I want somebody new. With me it's psychological.